3 more tools to communicate better in your marriage. I'm Brian Bandis, and this is The Married Man.
It's time to put on your big boy pants.
All right, boys, let's get to business. This is The Married Man, where we talk about what matters most, and that is bringing your absolute best as a husband and as a father. Guys, as we talked about last time, communication is crucial, and I know it's cliche, but it's cliche for a reason. It's cliche because it's true. Verbal and nonverbal communication are the lifeblood of the signals sort of going back and forth between you and your wife, whether they are positive messages or negative messages. As I said last time, true intimacy is to know and to be known. The more clearly I can communicate, the more I can be known by my wife, and the better that I can listen and understand her, the better I can truly know her and what is meaningful to her. So at the heart of true intimacy with your wife is great communication. So here are 3 more ways that you can communicate better in your marriage. The first one might seem silly, but all of us get it wrong, and that is to manage your pace and volume. And I don't mean just don't yell at your wife, although I do think that's good advice. But understand that pace and volume in any communication is a tool. And when you slow down and lower your volume, it's incredibly engaging and it carries weight. As you could probably tell by those couple sentences right there, you can use your pace and volume to slow things down. You can use your pace and volume to give weight and gravity to what you're saying. You can use it to convey urgency. You can use it to convey passion or respect. It's an amazing tool, and it's definitely worth you taking the time to sort of learn how to use that in a really purposeful way. It's not a tool to use for manipulation. It's a tool to use to communicate better and more clearly than you have in the past. Idea number 2 is to repeat things back. Now, I remember this scene in The Office where Michael Scott is trying this out. No, actually, maybe it's Andy. One of them's trying it out on the new boss. Crap, hang on, I gotta look it up. Okay, I got it. It's Andy Bernard, and it's when they all transfer into the Scranton branch, and Andy says he's gonna be the number 2 guy in 6 weeks. I'll be the number 2 guy here in Scranton in 6 weeks. How? Simple. Name repetition, personality mirroring, and never breaking off a handshake. And so then all these scenes follow where he is overly mirroring and matching everything that Michael Scott does, and it's ridiculous, and hilarity ensues. Of course, then they cut to Michael Scott, who says, you know who I really like? I like this guy, Andy Bernard. So that's an example of like an extreme manipulative way to use that, and that's not what I'm talking about. What I am talking about is, are you listening well enough to hear what really lights your wife up? And if she's in a place where she's excited, can you get excited with her? If she's in a place where she's discouraged or she's down, can you be there with her? And here's an extra little tip. In a less extreme way, it can be really helpful to key on different phrases and things that convey importance to someone. So if my wife says to me, you know what would really make my day? If you and the kids cleaned up the living room before I got home. I might specifically say back to her, you know what? I am gonna make your day. Or if she says, you know what would really make me feel special? If you took the initiative to set up a date for next week. I'm probably not only gonna set up a date for next week, but I'm going to remember that that language carries meaning for her. And I'm gonna say, you know what? I really want you to feel special. I want you to know how special you are to me. So I set up a date for us for Thursday night, and I already got the babysitter. It's not just that I did the thing she asked, it's that she told me, whether or not she knew it, that that language conveys meaning for her. There's a reason she said, that makes me feel special, and not I'd be super stoked. So if I go back to her and I say, hey, I set up this date, I knew you'd be stoked. That's not gonna mean as much to her as if I say, hey, I set up this date because I want you to know how special you are to me. It's kind of silly, but it works. So learn to manage your pace and your volume. Pay attention enough to your wife to be able to repeat back the things that are important to her. And lastly, and this is the biggest of the 3, in my opinion, validate her emotions. Now hold on. I'm not saying validate meaning everything she says, your job is to validate and say, yes, that's true, I agree. I frequently don't agree with my wife. I frequently don't even really agree with her emotions. What I mean by that is sometimes she'll tell me why she's upset, and my first response is, you shouldn't be upset about that. But that's where I'm wrong. She's allowed to have her emotions. And there's a difference between validating someone's emotions and agreeing with them or endorsing their conclusions. So if she says, hey, the way you talked to me this morning really made me feel like you don't care about me, I can validate that emotion without agreeing that I don't care about her, because that's not true. What is true is that I made her feel that way. Validating her emotions puts you guys on the same team. And without you saying, yeah, you're right, it's you saying, I understand, you're a human being, and these are the ways that you feel, and you're allowed to feel that way. I respect you enough as an autonomous person to acknowledge that you're allowed to have your own feelings and your own reactions and your own interpretation of the situation. So I can say, I'm really sorry that you felt that way this morning. I wasn't trying to make you feel that way at all. In fact, I care a lot. See, I'm actually saying, oh, that's not correct. I do care. But I'm not saying you're not allowed to feel that way. I promise you the next time your wife comes to you, you try this, you validate her emotions. Again, it's not agreement. Those are not the same thing. Validate the emotions by saying, I totally understand how you could feel that way. Or I hear you. And I think, maybe if I was in your shoes, I might feel upset too. You're simply saying, hey, this is a human response and I respect it. I acknowledge it. I'm a human too. We're on the same team. So there are 3 ways that you can improve your communication in your marriage and continue on your quest to becoming a phenomenal husband. Now, when I'm making videos like this, I can always just sort of hear this voice of some jackhole confusing kindness and gentleness and purposefulness with passivity or weakness. So I want to clarify that I'm not talking about rolling over dead, and I'm not talking about being passive or being, I don't know, what do the kids call it, a simp? What I'm describing is you in your strength bringing purposefulness to your marriage, because as we talked about, you've made a decision that this is your number 1 priority. And if it is your number 1 priority, then you want to bring your best. You want to bring effort and purposefulness to what you're doing and how you're communicating and how you're treating your wife. So that's what this is about. That's all I got for you, boys. As you know, at The Married Man, I post 2 videos a week, and here's all I ask. If you're getting something out of this, if these videos are somehow making you a better man, a better husband, a better father, then hit that subscribe button. That way, twice a week, you can be challenged and encouraged to become the kind of husband and the kind of father that I know that you want to be. Now, before I sign off, let me ask you a quick question. I've changed up my little filming thing here, trying to create the right vibe. I'm curious if you'll leave me a little comment below. Let me know. Do you like the red and blue lights in the dark office? Or do you like the office in the daytime? I don't know. I'm trying to find the right vibe here. I really wanted to sit on the porch and smoke a cigar, but I couldn't find the right camera angle and setting and all that stuff. You know what I mean? We're stuck inside drinking a whiskey. All right, fellas. See you in a couple days.